Hey everyone, my name is Alan Thrall, and in this video, I want to talk about some things that I've learned in these past 5 months of bodybuilding. I realize how silly that sounds. 5 months? You kidding me? I got a tub of protein powder with more experience than you, kid. I'm not here to preach as if I were an expert on bodybuilding. I'm just excited to document these things that I'm learning as I go. I've learned a lot about new exercises, exercise selection, program structure, progression in bodybuilding, like evolving rep ranges, double progression, rep goal system. I've learned all this stuff from other bodybuilding YouTube channels. I'm not going to talk about that stuff. I'm not going to talk specifically about 1 + 1 = 2. Just going to mention some thoughts that have been brewing inside of my head. Now, I'm going to make some comparisons between bodybuilding and powerlifting, or strength training, which have become sort of synonymous with each other. Powerlifting and strength training, that is. But before I do, I want to make this clear up front. I am not trying to argue that bodybuilding is better than powerlifting. Of course, we would ask, better for what? I'm not trying to degrade strength training or powerlifting in any way. A lot of what I'm going to say is anecdotal. It's just my experience. You might feel the same way that I do. You might not. I could sit here and make a video about why bodybuilding is better than powerlifting, which is a misleading title, and I wouldn't make a video like that. And on the same day, I can make another video about why powerlifting is better than bodybuilding. I'm not trying to do this. I'm making this video because maybe something that I say strikes a chord inside of you. You might be stuck in your training and wondering where to go from here. You might be lacking motivation, direction, or purpose in your training, and something that I say flicks on a light bulb in your head. That's all this is. It's quite literally my video log, my vlog. Point number 1. Since I started bodybuilding training, I have had no bad days. That's right, I don't have bad days. Not one session has felt like a waste of time, like I failed the objective. Sure, I've had some days where I'm a little bit less motivated than others, days when I'm a little more tired, days when I've got a lot on my plate and my training session is not the top priority, but I've never left a training session feeling like I'm regressing, feeling like it was a waste of time, feeling like I failed. In the past, when the goal of all of my workouts was performance-based, meaning weight on the bar was the primary focus, I most definitely labeled each day as a good day, a mediocre day, or a bad day. Now, using RPE helped mitigate these bad days, but it most certainly did not completely prevent them from happening. If my workout called for deadlift, working up to 1 rep at RP 8, and I really wanted to hit 525 pounds, sometimes I'd fall a bit short and call my 1 at 8 at 505 pounds. Not a big deal, that's what RPE is for. Still a good productive day, even though I didn't hit the exact number that I wanted. But there were days when I was warming up and 405 pounds was slower than tacky on a cold morning. That means pretty slow. That warm-up rep where you have to pause once it's done and say to yourself, well, it ain't happening today. What now? I wanted to hit the bullseye today, but it looks like I'm not even going to hit the target. Now I could just call 405 my 1 at 8, move on, hit some back offsets in the 300-pound range, but that's easier said than done. I would be so emotionally attached to these numbers that I felt like I failed today. It was a bad day. Or what I might have done in this situation, if I didn't want to accept that 405 is going to be my top single, I would force more weight on the bar using some psychological ace cards. I'd slap myself in the face, I'd find a good song, I'd get really angry, I'd try to get my heart rate up, deep breathing, I'd start grunting and growling, and then grind out an even slower 455-pound deadlift, which is way more stimulating than my top single was supposed to be for that day. I often see on Instagram, my deadlift has been in the trash lately. Bench press feels like shit. Squat hurts. That's a third or more of your training that has become a black cloud looming overhead because it sucks. The numbers aren't moving. The numbers are worse than they have been in the past. This hurts, that hurts. Sessions start being labeled as good and bad. You anticipate poor performance because it's deadlift day and your deadlift is in the trash. What a bad relationship to have with lifting weights. Something that is supposed to be fun, healthy, put you in a good mood, make you feel good physically and mentally, is being called trash, garbage, in the toilet, sucks, bad. With bodybuilding, I haven't experienced this. Having goal rep ranges and goal total reps has allowed for small fluctuations in performance from day to day while still feeling like I'm working towards the overall goal. Since I'm focused on stimulating a certain muscle group, not just a specific movement pattern, I have a broad range of exercises, tempos, and reps to choose from. And it's not like I'm changing exercises every workout, or I'm not counting reps, I'm not worrying about intensity, I'm just kind of floating around the gym. It would be easy to say, yeah, I wouldn't have bad days either if I just did whatever I want every day. I do follow a program, I log my training, I do have an objective each session, and I push myself hard. And that's important to mention here because I've heard people say stuff like, start super light and then you don't have to worry about having a bad day. And I don't necessarily agree with this because way too light isn't doing a whole lot. That would kind of be a waste of time. I want to push myself. There's something refreshing about bodybuilding that lets me push myself and at the same time step back and focus on the big picture rather than getting sucked into the specific numbers of today's workout. This flows right into point number 2. I don't need breaks. I know I'm still in my honeymoon phase with bodybuilding, but so far I've not needed a week off or a deload week or anything like that. There's a reason why most strength programs or powerlifting programs are 6 weeks long, 8 weeks long. People get burnt out. The longest time that most strongman competitors will start prepping for a show is 12 weeks. And it always starts very light and then slowly progresses to maybe the last 4 weeks being heavy. By the time powerlifters and strongman competitors are on competition week, man, they cannot wait to be done with training. They can't wait for that week off. Non-competitors, people who aren't worried about strongman and powerlifting, just non-competitors who go to the gym and strength train, people who are chasing strength numbers and running themselves into the ground, adding 5 pounds every session, probably need a few weeks off. Now, there are strongman and powerlifters who do really well following competition prep training programs, but there are a lot of general population who like to follow these comp prep programs and really burn themselves out. And I'm mainly talking about them. Personally, the problem that I've had after every competition was going through a huge drop in performance immediately following that competition. I would have to ease back into training before deciding what to do next. So I would go through this cycle of train really hard, peak, recover, slowly build back up, train really hard, peak, recover, slowly build back up, and so on. Almost like I was just adding the same 50 pounds to my maxes year after year. Lose 50 pounds, gain 50 pounds. I would peak, show that I'm strong, lose all that strength, take some time off, build back up, and then peak back, right back to where I was. I know that I'm cherry picking my own experiences, and I know that I'm making this straw man argument against strength-focused training, and I know in hindsight that there are some things I could do differently. I'm just saying, me, personally, I don't feel this with bodybuilding training, and I like it. I feel like each and every session, each and every week just builds upon the last. Imagine what this could do for someone's confidence and mental health, building yourself up every session, rather than smashing your face into the same brick wall of plateaus by always forcing more weight on the bar, drilling SBD until you hate it, competing in competitions when you really don't want to. Point number 3, this one shifts to a programming point. I don't have assistance exercises. Nothing I do is accessory. Nothing is auxiliary. Every bicep curl I do is as important as every shoulder press, is as important as every squat. This shift in mindset has really given purpose to each training day and each exercise that I do. In the past, all of my focus would be on squat, bench, deadlift, or tested strongman movements. Assistance lifts, which were intended to assist those big movements, would always be last in my workout when my energy and time was running thin. Since they're just assistance lifts, I only need to give like a fraction of the focus and intensity that I give the main movements. This is wrong. I should have given them the same focus and intensity as the big movements. Maybe less overall volume. But my thinking was, since they're assistance lifts, they just aren't that important. Sometimes towards the end of my workout when I was tired or I had something better to do, I would tell myself, let's just skip the assistance lifts. That'll actually help with recovery for the big lifts later on in the week. They were treated like vegetables in your bulking diet. You know you need them, but you always had a reason to skip them. I see plenty of other people doing the same thing I did. Max hype, blaring music, intense focus on their max effort bench day, followed by some swinging curls with 15-pound dumbbells until it, kind of burns, or some seated shoulder press machine with like 10% of their bench press max. At that point, just go home, dude. You're wasting your time. And I understand that bench might be way more important to you than those other lifts. That's all fine and well. But my shift personally is that I don't treat anything as an assistance exercise. It's equally as important. And so I'll say again, in bodybuilding, everything is equally important. Everything seems to be a priority. My focus and intensity on preacher curls matches my focus and intensity on squats. Now, that doesn't mean that just because I take preacher curls to failure, I need to take squats to failure, but the relative intensity to each other matters. I actually have to be honest with my assessment. I actually have to try hard. Now, at a more advanced level, bodybuilders can focus on bringing up certain muscle groups and just maintaining others, meaning, oh, my arms are lagging, my legs are big enough. But it doesn't mean that anything is less important per se. You might just change programming variables to meet a goal physique. But for the majority of us, this isn't the case. We just want to build muscle all around. Arm day is not an easy day. It's just as important as leg day or any upper body day. And in fact, my arm day workouts sometimes take longer than my lower body workouts. There's more volume, and I need a bit longer rest for smaller muscle groups. For me personally, those small muscle groups are undertrained too. Point number 4, bodybuilding lets me do so much more than a strength-specific program. It used to take me 90 minutes or more to work up to a squat single, then a few back-off sets. 2 hours if I wanted to do squats and bench in the same session. If I was going to do squats, bench, and deadlifts in the same session, cancel my entire schedule for the rest of the day because I'm going to be here for a while. And chances are when I'm done with this session, I'm not going to have the energy for anything else. Sorry, kids, Dad's got to sit on the park bench like a zombie for the rest of the day. With bodybuilding, I'm able to do 6 exercises, supersetting each exercise 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4, and then finally 5 and 6, 3 to 4 working sets on each movement. That's 18 to 24 total working sets of exercises, all performed at a high level, all productive sets and reps, no junk volume. We talk about how functional strength training and powerlifting is, which I agree with, by the way, and then how non-functional bodybuilding training is. We just pump up our muscles like balloons and have zero real-world strength to show for it. I don't know about you, but I don't think that taking an hour to warm up and do a heavy double on squats is more functional than getting 10 times the work in the same amount of time. Now, like I've said numerous times already, I'm not teasing powerlifting because maximum strength output is awesome, and powerlifters should do whatever they want in the gym or whatever they need to do in the gym. But let's not say that bodybuilding is a waste of time or it's non-functional. In my short experience, it is more time efficient. I get way more done now than when I followed minimal strength-specific programs. As a dad, this means a lot to me. If the squat, bench, and deadlift are getting stale for you, there is 1,000 other exercises you can do to get the same or even better results. If the thought of slow, grindy, heavy singles and sets of 5 make you want to vomit your pre-workout glass of milk, there are a lot of set and rep ranges to work in. You don't have to add 5 pounds every session or every week. There are more sustainable, more productive forms of progression. I'm excited to continue learning about all these variables. And point number 5, bodybuilding is not easy. I used to believe that strength training was superior because you are doing the hard stuff. Barbell squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press. It's all hardcore. I was a serious lifter. You won't catch me doing any of that fluff and puff BS. Bodybuilding is boring. It's not challenging enough. 30-pound dumbbells aren't going to get you results like a 300-pound barbell will. Don't take the easy way out. Challenge yourself with some heavy iron. The truth is, bodybuilding and strength training have a lot of overlap. I do still incorporate squats, bench, deadlift, overhead press into my routine. I do still lift heavy. I do still perform explosive movements. I also do reps in the 6 to 20 range. In some ways, I push myself harder now than I ever have before. In the past, I rarely ever went to complete failure in training. Now, I regularly go to failure on isolation movements and some compound exercises like shoulder presses. rows, pull-ups, push-ups, and dips. Going to failure in any movement is challenging, which I really like. I still get to push myself. So don't think you should do bodybuilding because you want to take it easy. Bodybuilding is tough, and that's why I like it. Psychologically, it can be easier than powerlifting sometimes. I don't have to worry about the psychological and mental arousal required to hit a bunch of max singles and triples on squats and deadlifts today. I don't have to hype myself up to jump into the freezing cold water. That wall that I have to sometimes jump over to start my training sessions is a much lower wall for bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is not easy. It sounds a bit contrary to my first 2 points, that I don't have bad days and I don't need to take breaks. But hear me out. I like lifting weights because I like the way it makes me feel. I like making my muscles tired. I like the pump. I like progressing and seeing my strength and body change. My workouts are my me time. It's a time to channel emotions. Lifting weights allows me to expel any negative emotions. I feel in the moment without distraction. It's meditation for me. I like feeling like I accomplished something. I like routine and structure in my life. I like having the discipline required to stick to a workout routine. I'm in a better mood when I get my workout in. Thanks for watching, and always remember, train on time!